Well, hopefully with the press of a button there, we are now live. So apologies for the delayed start to the stream. If you're watching this back, hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully it all sounds okay. We're joining the last 5 minutes of the quali session. As you can see, Joe Challoner's currently at the top. It's a drying track, so the weather is improving. It's 28 degrees, but it's no longer raining. And it's all looking quite warm. So I will try and connect my broadcasting software so I can see who's doing what and is where. As we see Joe bailing out. We hit drive. There is Joe in the pits. Who's improving? There's a green. Sam Aldridge. And we'll have camera set 1. And we'll have broadcasting. There we go. Right. That's one way to adhere to blue flags. Just dive off the track. We'll just have a look on YouTube on my phone. See what's going on. Ah, live. And I can hear me. Right, that's the echo sorted. So if you are jumping in, feel free to drop a message so I know I'm not by myself. Race format for tonight is 2 30-minute races. 12 drivers in at the moment and a range of different times on the board. A car in the background decides enough is enough. I think the drivers are switching over to the slick tyres. Oh, Sam Aldridge there, look, so close to Joe Challoner's time. You'll stay on it, although there's puddles there. So the guys in the chat just before I started the stream saying, I think it's going slick. Well, by the looks of it, it isn't yet. Still showing as damp in the top right. Harrison Fulton down in 9th, also showing an improvement. He jumps up past Jake Jenkins and instead of going on to another lap, calls it quits. Number of drivers still in the pits, deciding what to do on their subsequent runs. Josh Copeland back from the ship, fresh from the 24-hour, that'd be nice, 12-hour race last week. I know he's done some races during the week to get up to speed. The OnlyFans sponsored bucket tool, Jamie Purcell certified. Yeah, paint bucket, OnlyFans number 69. There you go, folks. The epitome of maturity and a fair summary of Josh. Lights ablaze coming down to the final turn. 1.5 up on his delta, which will leave him 12th. I'm sure he's just finding his feet. I think he was exploring on the slicks earlier on. Yeah, brings him a little more into contention. Not quite breaking that 2-minute barrier yet, though. Who else is improving? Challoner. So he's looking good out of the first chicane, already half a second up. Carl Wright behind him, also green on Delta, not too far behind on track. We'll stick with Joe for the remainder of this lap, although we have only got 1 minute 24, so the guys in the pits like Chris Rock and Harrison Fulton will not be making any moves. They've not got time to come round and set a flyer again. Jake getting out of the way there. Joe no longer green on the Delta, so he's lost a bit of time through that next chicane. Hopefully my levels are okay, but there's no one about to tell me otherwise. I can drop the mic down slightly. It looks quite high. Hopefully this is okay. Right, slight adjustment there. If I've just made myself too quiet, I do apologise. I know it's most likely that some of the guys will watch this back afterwards, and that'll be about all the audience we have. 12 cars, hopefully get a few decent battles. That mid-pack, all 0.91, 1.2 seconds apart. Then Chris Rock and Harrison, who are both in the pits fairly close on times, and Craig Fulton will just follow someone round and actually improve massively on his time in the race. So Joe does not improve on that lap, and that is qualify. Did he just sneak through? He might have just snuck through actually there. So Joe looks like he's the last car to get through to have a go at another one. Not sure if the overtime is long enough for him to actually complete the lap, but we will soon find out. We'll also find out fairly soon what the weather is doing at Imola, Monza. Find out what it's doing for the race. All the guys on the left hand side, you see him jumping back to pits. No apex for Joe on that one. A massive bit of curb on that one, and well, he'll bail back to pits after that. But that's okay. It looks like he's safe at the top. Sam Waldridge has stopped as well. There's an empty chicane. It looks like he's gone straight on. Everyone else back to the pits. And Brown still cruising round. And that's enough for Ant. So, Joe Challoner, Sam Waldridge and Carl Wright are your top three. 0.3 apart. Niels Brewer a little further off in fourth, but still within a second. And then Matty Zenko, Ant Brown, Josh Copeland, Chris Rock, Harrison Fulton, Jake Jenkins, Ross Parker and Craig Fulton. So it looks like a dry start. It's a green track, so we're looking like it's dry. Track temperature's gone up 1 degree since qualifying. If any of the guys are just tabbing out to start the stream or have a look, if anyone can hear this, if you could just chuck in the chat that the levels are okay, if they are okay, that would help me out a fair bit. Other than that, I think it's just time to wait for the guys to put their setups on. So car 10, you can see front left. Car 40, Niels Brewer. Car 11, Chris Rock. And Jake Jennings in the 36. You can see they're all SAR cars. So they've got matching liveries. And then the other guys, I think, are independent. You can see Craig Fulton, also known as... Cheers, Sparky. All good on the levels. Thank you very much. The bad Fulton. So that's Harrison's father. And that is seemingly true, because Craig in the Martini car is 12th on the grid, rounding out row 6. And Harrison is 9th on the grid. Number 5 car over on the right hand side. Bound to be some movements in this race. Completely different conditions. I know maybe Ant has been working on a setup that favours the dry and was just making do in the wet. But no, half-hour race. The half-hour forecast is dry, so looking like dry throughout. 0 on the wind, so not expecting any weather progression from that point. SAR, aka Badger Racing. The car's twitching around, jumping around. That's the drivers completing their setup, dropping to the ground, ready to complete the warm-up lap. A little bit smaller on the grid today. We've had to move the race time so it doesn't clash with the Formula 1. So a number of drivers making the most of the weather or doing farmyard duties, or I think there's a number of people at a horse event. We're all different. They're not available to race this evening, so we shall have a slightly reduced grid but normal points. This will count towards the championship, but I assume that was aimed at Sparky and not myself, Sam. So Sam commenting from the front row of the grid. Here we go then, the engines will fire up. Joe Challoner will lead them away. There they go. Apparently sound doesn't travel that far, we don't get idle noises. There we go. And Brown away. So a couple of drivers choosing to weave, others choosing to merge into other cars, others making use of the brakes and braking in a straight line to build temperature in the brakes, going through to the tyres. Because you sit, when you do the full outlap, you sit with cold tyres on the grid, and it's your responsibility to not only not drop off the back of the pack but build the tyre temperature and the tyre pressure to get ready for racing. Now, will we see the typical Monza start? Will we have a pile up into turn one? I certainly hope not, because there's been an agreement to not restart races. What will be, will be. But there is a potential that the car at the back could very quickly become a car at the front and end up in someone's door and ruin some races. So let's see. Hopefully none of that. Hopefully it's all nice, good, clean racing. Because we want this done on time so we can all go and watch the Formula 1. So Joe Challoner down the front. Second Lesmo. Some psychological warfare from Sam. Can't remember the key to do like the hovering cam to float near the cars, so can't really get a rundown of the liveries or anything like that. We can just watch them plod around the circuit from a distance. No pit stops or anything on this one. The races are just a little bit too short. It's all down to on-track pace, nothing about hitting pit lane limiters and stopping in boxes in the right place. Sam very eager to get on with this. He's all over the back of Joe. Can he make an attack down into turn one? Will Joe get the inside covered? Can team tactics come into play? Obviously you've got Sam just there. The previous camera was a better camera. Niels. And then Rock and Jenkins further back. Right, let's jump in the old helicam. We're going to focus on Matty. Mr. Zenko racing with us now for a little while. Everyone starts to get quite familiar with how each other races. You know who to leave a little more room, who to be comfortable around. Everyone has their own style. Everyone apparently has their own starting position. It looks like Joe is a little back from his if he's meant to be on pole. There it is, squares up a little more to Sam Waldridge. Sorry Matty, we might have to look a little further forwards if we're not careful. That's number 88 on the inside. Let's just focus on Kyle, just so we can see the front guys going in.
Green light, go, go, go.
There's the call, so it's a slightly lacking start from Joe. Sam on the outside with a slightly better start, but Joe coming back at him now. They've all got to find their braking point. That's a very close second SAR car of Kyle, and they've hit each other, and Joe's on the inside, comes off worse. He'll release the brake, get out the way, but the two SAR cars seemingly taking each other out. And to the back of the field, there's another SAR car in the side of Josh further back. Oh, they're physically inside each other. They're, well, that looks like the end of the race for Josh, unfortunately. That was not Chris Rockenwell. Chris Rock's coming through well, actually. He's actually attacking Matty Zenko now. Backs out of that move, but back down the front. Joe Chandler breaks away after that early contact. Sam Waldridge lives to fight another day, and that's promoted Carl Wright up into third. Then a little gap back to Ant Brown, who's managed to keep his nose clean through all of that, in fourth. Matty Zenko out onto the back straight, making lots of use of that runoff, but it's legal, it's there, use it. Chris Rock in sixth. Harrison is a fair distance back. He will have been delayed by all those coming together. Then it's Ross Parker. The other Fulton is now under attack. It's Niels Brewer coming through. And he gets that move done from a long way back. Then you've got Jake Jenkins and the recovering Josh Copeland, but I believe he won't be too happy about that earlier contact. Back down the front, the gap appears to be closing. It was 0.294 across the line. Obviously they're going a little bit quicker, 0.261. So this sitting steady, but it's a long old way down to turn one. Joe covers the inside line. That is covered, so they've chosen the lines. Later on the brakes for Sam. Not really much he can do with that. Joe goes a little deep. He's over the curb, so that's the long way around for Sam. Gets the steering unwound. Both accelerating equally, and in their places they remain. Further back, the guys all coming out of the hairpin. It's not a hairpin, is it? Come on, chicane. So mixed so far. Back down the front. Oh, not quite under attack on that occasion. Not looking particularly safe from Sam at this stage. Good drive out of there. The gap opens up. Nice late apex. No one doing anything too silly. Through we go again. Good rotation on all of them hitting that apex. Third and fourth running slightly wider on the way out. Still doing okay. How's Niels getting? Defensive drive at the moment from Joe. Trying to cover off any dives, but he is compromised his run through a number of turns. This is leaving Sam able to attack at this stage. Further back there look like moves on the map. I think that was about 7th. That looked like Harrison under attack from Niels. As they Constantine are up, Kyle is looking strong as well. These two battling is going to bring him into contention. Let's get a different camera, shall we? See how it goes. Right, that really shows how much of a train this is now. Double slipstream for Kyle, who's just set the fastest lap. We'll concentrate on this for now, although, yeah, there's fastest laps coming in are plenty, PBs. Joe covering the inside. It's going to be the long way again for Sam. Does he hit his braking mark this time? Yes, he hits the apex. So Sam's got that move done. Joe's had to leave them both room. That was very opportunistic from Kyle. He's followed through. Joe accelerating on the grass. So that's just compromised his run out of there, and he concedes third place. Ant Brown, his slip and grip colleague, will now be the next to try and get through, but that's not Joe done. That's actually pressure off for a moment. He's going to try and go back at the guys down the front. Further back, Harrison is fending off Niels. A couple of guys getting sideways in the background. There's Niels there. It was Ross getting a little sideways earlier on. Craig has settled in to 10th. And a very sideways Josh, again, looking for that recovery drive. We're but 6 minutes or 5 minutes into this race, and it's already been pretty heated down the front. Sam Waldridge is attacking as they went through into the chicane, and Joe is looking to fight back, running wide there from Sam. It'll give him some momentum, but it lets Joe there. He'll be on the outside for this next turn. Can he brake later and use that wider radius to carry more speed? Ant Brown there as well. They all seem to brake in unison. The inside line, the advantage for Sam at the moment. Coming back for Joe. He's going to look for the inside at turn 1. How have these guys got the car set up? Joe looking a little lower on the rear. That might help with the drag. Able to get side by side, but this is letting Kyle run away. Ant thinks he's going to go through as well. The long way round worked for Sam in the overtake. Can it work the long way round for the defence? Joe runs a little deep. That means Sam gets into the back of him, but Sam slow off the turn into the traction control and giving him a little push, saying come on then. Joe able to gap away because he got that clean run out of the chicane, out of turn 2. That's left Sam under attack from Ant now, and thinking about a move. It is going to be a move. Fractionally later on the brakes, covered. Not able to make the progress that time. I have a highlight of an incident on car 89. So Ross coming together with Craig, these two having a fight that's logged as an incident on my highlights tab. The two of them still side by side through the first Lesmo. That's run Craig out wide. Can he defend from Jenkins? Can indeed. Jake just backing out there. Not enough of an overlap and not the place to be making a move. Not sure what that does for Josh. Can he convert this? Field streams through these 4, dropping off the back. An attacking Jake. Gets down the inside of Craig. All sorts of curb being used there. Oh, Ross getting all crossed up across the curbs. So that's Ross off into the gravel. These 3 continue. Flash the lights from Copeland. I'm on my way as well, he says. Switches back to the left hand side, looking to get a run. Top of the field, looking at the times, he's all split out by a second, but Ant Brown 0.1, so he may be looking to make a move. We'll just stick with these guys for a minute. Craig coming back. Maybe running higher downforce, because where it looked like he had a run, suddenly it's not, and he's actually been passed by Josh around the outside. He's later on the brakes, going to get it stopped. Yeah, kind of, not really. Lots of curb, 4x4 Lambo. Bouncing his way across the curves. It's not going to help his run out of there. And that'll be Jake through. And Josh will then be side by side ready as Ross hits the pit. Yeah, Josh is through. So, off the road. Oh, a little change of line from Josh under braking. Both of them are really making that chicane. Josh will want those places back. And Jake, well, not choosing to yield just yet. Would he yield down this straight? Doesn't look like it, so might be one for the stewards, gaining a lasting advantage. Because he didn't really turn in, so that'll have only wound Josh up. So we'll report back on those guys later on, because down the front Kyle has made a bit of a break, fastest lap on the last lap, and he's green on the Delta again. The track has has evolved to fast as we head down to 20 minutes remaining, a third of the race done. We cross the line with Kyle, again a fastest lap. We then have Joe Challoner. Ross is somehow disqualified. Ant Brown has managed to get past Sam Waldridge. Sorry, Ant. Didn't catch that one on stream, but He's up past, but not away. And not feeling like he needs to defend. Was slightly deep there. Cut back from Sam. Is this a move? Does he have enough of an overlap? No, he doesn't. So compromised entry there for Sam. Oh, and massively sideways, trying to get on the power as early as possible. Can he recover that through the drive out of this corner? Nah, a little bit of a wobble on the curb. So that's upset the car through 2 corners. Sam's going to have this move around the outside done and dusted. I know Jake and Craig are fighting at the back, because you can see 0.1 apart. We'll stick with these guys now. Ant covers the inside line. First curb, hits the apex. Long way round for Sam. Not much he can do from that far back. Unsettles the car on the curb, but he's okay out of the turn. This is bringing Matty into contention. There they go, all 3 of them. So these guys will bunch up if it continues as it is, and Matty, with the matte black of that rear of the car, wanting to get involved, and that'll be your top, well, that's 3rd, 4th and 5th all fighting over a podium position. Kyle up front, last lap 55 dead, lap from Joe 55.4, so Kyle is stretching his legs. These guys have got slipstream to play with, but not if they keep fighting. Sam Aldridge here on board. There he is. Chasing after Ant Brown. And he's able to break away. Slipstream does play quite an effect around here if you're within the vicinity. However, if you're car right and you've checked out, 1.8 ahead. Oh, a little deep from Sam there. Gets the second curb hooked up, but Ant seemingly better drive off of there. Little adjustment mid-corner for Ant ahead. You see a little dab of the brakes, on and off the throttle, twitching to try and get these rather uniquely handling cars through the turns with the drive onto the final straight. See a good aim with the Sam, because he's currently up on his delta by 0.8. Brings him onto the pace of Joe Challoner and slightly quicker than Ant, although Ant is improving on his delta as well. Joe, however, is not. So can Ant bring the gap to Joe down whilst towing Sam with him? Zinko's still in contention. He's only a second off the back of this car that you're riding on board with now, so it's not outside of the realms of possible. So tucks into the apex. So definitely more steady car for Sam by the looks of it. Closing in on Ant in the braking zone, but Ant's got that rotation where he needs it elsewhere. The slipstream come into play. Yeah, Sam's got onto the back of Ant there. We've dropped into the 54s with Sam, whereas Ant ahead is still in the 55, so 0.2 gained through the last lap. Down into T1. Nibble a curb on the right, little brush of the curb on the left. Zenko's not bothered with the chicane. There he is. Smashing his way through the polystyrene. That's one way to bring the gap down. He's just got to be careful on warnings. The driver's allowed to cut the track 3 times. No, 4 times, and the 5th is the penalty. Or as we go deep with Sam. And that gives Ant a bit of breathing room to look forward and go after Joe. Although Sam does hit this apex. There we go, further back. So there's Matty coming to try and stick with him, but that off-track excursion won't have helped him. A little further back on his own, Chris Rock minding his own business. Getting decent points for 6th place. Harrison Fulton again keeping his nose clean. And he's managed... There you go, there's the call for halfway. Harrison in 7th, with Niels a bit of a gap back as well. Josh Copeland's now got a bit of breathing room. lights ablaze still, and it's then Jake and Craig, who have just switched places, battling for that final top 10 position. Oh, a yellow flag. That's Josh off the track of his own accord. He's going to be slow into the penultimate turn. Does this give Craig a chance? Maybe Craig can carry this momentum. Josh defending early. Craig kind of slipstreaming into the braking zone. A more stable run for Craig. So this is where he could potentially do a move. That 4.7 gap you see on the left hand side suddenly down to 0.394. So an attacking Copeland. Sorry, a defending Copeland now. Craig not able to do anything that time. Still 13.5 minutes left, so plenty of time for that to evolve. Sam Waldridge all over the back of Ant Brown now, although a little leery off of that turn. They move into the braking zone. Carl Wright must have had some sort of incident because he's a second down, but way, way closer. So it's all bunching back up at the front. We're past that halfway stage, but it looks like a four-way fight for the win. Although Kyle may just be settling back down now. This looks like a move for Sam. Let's have a slightly closer camera set. There we go, down into the braking zone, half covered by Ant. Good apex for both of those two. The guys out front carrying more speed, slightly wider, but it is the long way around. I wonder if Ant is within slipstream distance of Joe. You see the gaps coming down, so Joe is only 1.084 off the front. 0.6 back to Ant, and then only 0.2 back to Sam, but that's definitely less than 0.2 now as they head into the braking zone. That closes right up. Confidence there from Sam into the back of Ant, but not physically into the back of him. Matty there, it's still in contention. If this all gets a bit spicy, he can pick up the pieces. Craig Fulton on the timings is only half a second off of Josh, but we won't watch that for a minute. These are your leaders. Sam again, really, really confident up to the back of Ant. Oh, he's got the overlap. Ant's run wide on the exit. Let's go back outside. So, move done. Ant compromised off the turn, and that's allowed Sam through. So, is it defence from Sam? He's half covering the inside there, not making use of all of the track. Clips the inside curb, so not as flowing as he needed it to be coming onto the straight. Joe's then got a bit of breathing room. He can focus on catching up to Kyle, going with him. Ant Brown is on his way to Hogwarts. Ant Brown's in a tree somewhere. Oh no, there he is. He's back. That's horrendous. Where has he come out? No, that's Joe Challoner, sorry. So Ant has disconnected. Confused by the yellow there for a moment. So Ant has disconnected. That's really unfortunate for him. Hopefully we see him back for race 2. So the gaps have spread out. Ant's not taking anyone to the shadow realm with him either, so that's good. What are the gaps now? 0.9 and then a second. So these guys spread out a bit. We'll see if that evolves any further. How's the Copeland, Fulton... Oh, hi Josh. Where have you been? So Josh, this is a replay. This needs some replay banner thing. So you do the first one. Then you do the second one, but you're down the ditch. Then you scandy flick it. Oh. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, not what Josh would have wanted there. So the gaps were looking close, but the only gap was close was Josh's front bumper and the wall. So there he is, recovering to the pit lane. I think there's another car in there as well. Oh, that's Ant come back in. So Ant's in and he's in the pits. Right. Kyle's down the front. Joe's under his wing-ish. Look closer on the map on the right-hand side. Is it possible for Joe to go attacking? Let's have a look. This is Joe. Oh, Kyle slightly deep there. Joe keeps it clean and off the rumble strips. Slight confidence lift through there. I'm sure it would be flat, but even with the bouncing and the curbs, that's Kyle with a better run. Yeah, and in the chat, DC'd. Yeah. Just rewind it and have a look. It was pretty damn impressive.
And DC'd and I died.
Ah, you died. I just well, the viewers have seen you die.
Yeah, so I've now got 2 minutes of repair, so I thought I'd join you for a little bit.
Nice, welcome in. 8 minutes left on the clock. You got Joe going after Kyle. Kyle was strong earlier on, but Joe's got a bit more pace at the moment. He's all over the back of Kyle now. Nose to the inside, makes his intentions clear. Later on the brakes, can he get it stopped? Barely. Kyle turns in as if there wasn't a car there. Joe's come from a long way back, a little bit of bump indoors. Kyle is behind, but seemingly with a better run. Joe across the grass, unsettles the car, and Scandi flicks it into the wall. So that's Challoner with his car in pieces. Christ, it looks like Josh's car. Yeah, he's got pretty heavy front end damage. That is 4th for him at the moment. Let's just watch it again. So he's gone deep on the brakes, but fair enough. He's then given Kyle room. He's way out over that curb, but Kyle's kept him pinned to that right-hand side, and he's just run out of curb and ended up with grass and unsettled the car, turned it across the front of Kyle. Unfortunately, not much you can do by that point, other than, well, jump, I don't know, rally better. I don't know. That's really unfortunate for Joe. He had some fantastic pace, and he was definitely going at Kyle there. Hopefully he can hold on to 4th. He's got to nurse that damage round for another 7 minutes. I've not got Discord notifications on, so I have no idea if Josh is still here. No, he's not. So Josh is gone. Thanks for that, mate. Nice cameo. Kyle down the front. Now under pressure from Sam Waldridge. Sam having taken that fastest lap off him at some point. Sorry, I didn't notice when, Sam. Showing the pace there. Later on in the race as the car's lightened up a bit and the tyres are still good. Going after Kyle. Obviously Kyle will be a little bit rattled by what's gone on, but just needs to compose it, and looks like we've got a good race coming up for the next 6.5 minutes. Ant's back out of the pit, so don't expect to see him in the chat at the moment. Flash of the lights from Sam. His intentions be known. How much of a safety barrier has Joe got? Joe's got 7 second safety barrier, so can he hold on to those 7 seconds for the next 6 minutes? We will find out very, very soon. Sam having a little dance there. The track's still 29 degrees and fast. Really evolving at the moment. We might see optimum later on, but not at this stage of the race. This still your closest battle. Looking down the times, some of the others 6 seconds apart, some 1 or 2 seconds apart, and then obviously the recovering Josh and Ant 2 and 3 laps down respectively. There we go then down the back straight. Joe's gap down in 4th to Chris is down a second in that sector alone. So 7 seconds. Oh, big chunk of curb sideways for Kyle. That's not going to help him on this run. So he's got the inside pretty much covered. There's a little bit of breathing room, but it's not a Lamborghini's width. To the outside goes Sam. He comes away from that inside line. It's going to be the long way around for Sam. The marble's starting to develop out there, but he's got the cutback. So this is going to be the inside for turn 1. The long way around for Kyle. Just drops his position on the right hand side of the screen down to second. Just confirming the point at which Sam got his nose ahead, completes the lap. So that's Sam in the lead, but Carl's coming back. He's definitely running low aero on that car because he's got really, really good straight line speed. Gets back down the inside. Does he get it stopped? He's gone deep. He's cut the chicane. So let's see what kind of advantage he has. He backs off. He gives Sam a run. Back on the throttle early enough to still be in contention. Out in the marbles there. But concedes that place, rightly so. Having gone deep on the brakes. Can he come back? Because we've got 4 minutes left. How's Joe getting on? Joe is dropping like a lead balloon. Sam slow off the corner, forced to defend. Kyle is going to have to go the long way around the Lesmos. The corner belongs to Sam. He runs out wide and that's it. There we go. Can see a bird out the window on my telephone line. So if my internet wobbles, blame that bird. Right, down the back straight we go. Again, I haven't got a track map and I am not au fait with Monza, so I can't throw straights or corner names at you. Kyle not able to attack this time through. A larger chunk of curb though. A seemingly better run. Big chunk of curb sideways again, using that exit curb. So the riskier strategy, giving him the run onto this part of the straight, track, whatever. Matty now only 4.5 seconds off. So the battling will slow these guys up and let Matty come back at them. Sideways again for Kyle. Those tyres are getting warm. They've been sideways a couple of times. Let's pressure off and let's Sam run away. Flash of the lights. I'm still here. I'm still here, says Kyle. 2 minutes left. So, penultimate lap. Oh, big chunk of curb for Sam. Puts him slightly slower. Kyle instantly back into contention. Jinx around under braking. Oh, that looked to be a far better run until that curb got involved and it levelled them back out again. Not quite the turn in, but you can make it work. Sideways again. These tyres not looking like they're working for Kyle. Fighting against him. Big chunk of curb on the apex, but then Sam's all over the exit curb as well. Good slipstream from Kyle. Joe still holding on to 4th at the moment, but he's hemorrhaging time. I'm just going to have a quick look. Yeah, those two are alright for a minute. Yeah, Chris Rock closing in on Joe. I mean, the gap after Chris is another 8 seconds, so rather than battle, maybe Joe will just let him go. But that'll be very, very frustrating for Joe. With 1 more lap to go. Hopefully drop in no further than 5th. Huge chunks of curb just to try and stay on pace. What are the front two up to? Yeah, they've still got that gap at the moment. Was 0.28, now 0.45. So better off the final turn for Sam and through that section. We had a yellow flag. I'm not sure who it's for. Craig Fulton is way off. Where's a little 30 seconds? Oh, no, it's Jake. Yeah, Jake's had an incident. A little bit of gravel and maybe a touch of wall to add to that. Has Craig been alright? Craig's off on his Delta, but I'm not sure what he's done. That's what he's done. Oh, holds it well. Yeah, well held for Craig. So these two had their battle down into turn 1.
Right, man, the leader is on the final lap. Give it a final push.
I will give it the final push. I'm doing my best to commentate. Here we go then. Challoner and Rock right together. Yeah, so Chris Rock gets through. Joe's going to try and come back at it. Oh. No, that was... yeah, that wouldn't have been the place to dive, so... Well done for Joe. He'll just try and stick with him. Get it home. Kyle just pushing everything he's got. Launches it over the curbs, just trying to have some form of pace advantage. Does look to have compromised him slightly onto the straight, so Sam has just got this one turn till he's home. So Monza did get a bit Monza at the start, and unfortunately there was contact in several places, but Sam Aldridge wins race 1 with Carl Wright not too far behind. Matty Zenko keeps his nose clean for a 3rd place. Chris Rock makes his way through the final turn with a recovering Joe Challoner not far behind at all. There we go, crosses the line, turns that to a checkered flag on the left hand side. Flash lights from Joe. Niels Brewer up to 6th from earlier on. Harrison, a nice clean race from what we saw. His dad not too far behind after a frantic race from what we saw. He's going to jack that car up for the next race. There's Jake Jenkins after his couple of little off tracks. And then the OnlyFans car of Josh Copeland. Couple of laps down after he popped in on the commentary, just to let us know that he'd binned it, but we'd already seen that. Ant Brown in the pits, 3 laps down, but he's happy he got his place, and nice coverage, Tom. In the chat he said, cheers Ant, do my best. You got to win this next one, mate. And then Ross, still connected, but disqualified 12 laps in. So the overtime will be used up. Oh, is he about to... Yeah. No, go on, do it properly, Anne. Don't show people the banditry, just do the track properly. There you go, look, no donuts and wheel spins from Ant. He's just going to show us around the track. There we go, so confirmation of the results as the session rolls over. We're back in qualifying positions again, and we'll do it all over again. I think track progression will pick up where we left off, but I might be wrong, so let's see if it's a fast track from the start. The guys will elect to make any changes they want to the setups. Sorry, I realise that's probably quite a loud camera angle. They'll tweak their setups based on what they've learnt from that. Some guys suffering with oversteer, understeer. Yeah, so Challoner back up the front. Brown to the back because of the disconnect. Yeah, and then Ross and Craig back where they were. So Ant, unfortunately, starting from the back. Let's see what he can do with this recovery drive. And yeah, hopefully a slightly cleaner start. I think we saw Niels Brewer last time with the overlap on Sam Waldridge, sorry. The 2 SAR cars getting into each other at the start. Causing a bit of bumping and barging. Right, let's hit drive. That gets us back to where we want it to be. And then we go again. So there's the gap where Ant was in quali. I'm going to take a picture of the screen for reference so I can tell you where everyone's come from or has gone to, because last time I couldn't do that. Track showing as optimum, we're up to 28 degrees, so expect the pace to be increased. We're going quicker again. and then half hour from now it will be 8:10 in real time, ready for the Formula 1 at past. There we go. If you are in the chat, if you are joining in, please do drop me a message, let me know you're there. If you like what you're watching, ping a like and maybe drop a follow. Or subscribe, sorry. It says subscribe on here, isn't it? So, Slip and Grip run 2 frequent series. The Sunday is on ACC and will be endurance based, although 30-minute races, and this isn't the longest stuff we do. Last week was a 12-hour endurance race, 2 or 3 drivers per team for charity. Then on Wednesdays we're back to AC, the old school, but with many mods. That's generally more tin top racing, currently Clios, and the next series that's been announced is the Ginetta GT5s. So, not as much horsepower as these, but, well, some really close racing, some nice big grids. All the grids have been extended to take 32 cars. So we can have nice big championships, replicate the big TCC, and just race some tin tops, get door to door, round some, well, I say small British circuits, but we've also got a mix of international circuits coming up in the next one, so a real mix, keeping it interesting for those that have been racing with Slip and Grip since it started in lockdown 2020, or for the new guys that are just joining us, and maybe you've just stumbled across this stream and want to come and join us. So the Discord is the place for all of the information. I'm sure it's in a description or a bio or a link somewhere. There's even a robot that can tell you it in the chat, but Christ knows how that works. Right, I've waffled my way through 3 minutes. The session start time ticks over, and it will be reset and go again. Joe Challoner hoping to convert the pole position into at least a podium, if not a win, as he snakes his way off the line. Carl Wright showing his early strength in the first race. Let's see if he can do it again. Keep the tyres in check for the last quarter of the race. Again, we'll be wanting to go for the win. Harrison Fulton looks like he's not readied up, so that's going to be a starting from the pit after a strong showing in the last race. Something not quite right there for him. No, Craig, you can't wait for your son. Go on, go and get involved. Craig seemingly dropping off the field as well, but doesn't matter. There's not a chicane there. So yeah, Fulton top tips. Either don't start or get dirt on your tyres before the race. There's Ant Brown. The recovery drive. This will be a different game for him. Finding the overtaking positions. Gifted one by Harrison starting from the pits, but still got to work his way up from what will be 11th up through the field. He had good pacing quality, so let's see what he can do with that. And now a word from our sponsor. So, Slip and Grip Simracing, Slip and Grip Automotive. Hand in hand, there is Ross in his Slip and Grip branded car. Warming the car up, slow into the corners on the brakes, dragging the brakes on the way in, and then flat out. Here he is. So chooses to accelerate and then dive on the brakes, down the gears, back on the power. See the front almost lifting and bumping away. And down to 6th maybe to save some fuel. Scrubbing the front tyres to get some heat into those. Oh, nearly. Kick of oversteer. Let's stay on board. It's not a commentator's curse or anything, but let's just let's see. Sorry, so I earlier called the optimum track and 29 or 28, so it... Oh. I'm sure that just changed. I'm almost tempted to do a replay, just to check. But yeah, we are optimum and 27 degrees. Ross on the power. Yeah, ghosting's on. Sorry if you're flinching. we go. So these cars ghost on the outlap because this lot is a bunch of bandits. There they are. Craig just making his way towards the back of the field. He'd be lucky if he's not out of position and get a penalty for that. Where's the helicopter? Right then, half hour. See if Joe can hold on to first place through the chicane. Let's see. Let's just see what happens. Let's have a go. Relatively late call on the start. I know some of the other tracks worse. Imola doesn't call it until you're almost at turn 1. So Joe definitely with his nose ahead this time. Sam squares up to him. We wait for the call as we head to the line. Everyone is in place bar Harrison starting from the pits. There's the call. It is at the line on this circuit, so they're well bunched up. Niels Brewer's definitely got the run on Sam Wooldridge this time. Doesn't choose the middle, chooses the outside. This is a great start as well from Kyle, clearing the SAR car. Do they all get it stopped? The SAR car's trying to come the long way round. Sam trying to come back. Joe clear out front, a little touch behind. They all concertina up. So another SAR bump within the first turn, although I think that may have been a turn-in or provoked by another car further back. We'll go and pick up the pieces in a moment, but Joe able to streak away from Sam. It was Sam who was involved in that one, sorry. Getting the two cars confused. So it is Sam that has got involved in that further back. And was that Matty Zenko? I think it was. Yeah, Matty Zenko also involved in that one there. So you see those two recovering. Right, back down the front. You've got Joe Challoner getting away slightly from Niels Brewer. Carl Wright warming up them tyres a little sideways again. We saw his flamboyant driving style in the last one. Let's see if his curb jumping, curb smashing, rather quick lines through the chicanes can do him good again in this race. Josh Copeland has somehow ended up in 4th through all of that melee, but well, see what he can do with it. He was a little off the pace in the last one. Ant Brown storming through to 6th already, so he started at 11th. He's almost followed Josh through, maximising his run off of that turn, getting the overlap on Ross early on. Can Ross break later and come back at Ant, or is he just going to concede that place and try and go with him? He does break slightly later, but Ant's got the move done back on the power earlier for Ross. Ant delayed on the power, the turn in. But yeah, seeming to break away in the later stage of that acceleration area. Then further back you've got the train behind Craig Fulton. Let's see how this goes. Chris Rock. Well, he's opened the door for Chris Rock. He obviously felt safe, but Chris has braked later, but Craig's not braked later. They're both just jumping over the curbs. SAR car through the middle. Sam Wooldridge further back looking to come through as well. So this looks like Jenkins through with Matty now attacking him. That's the inside well and truly covered. Can he get it stopped? Oh, he can just about. It's going to concertina them all back up to these back 5 cars. I know Harrison is a little further back, but he'll soon catch them up if they keep battling. Car down the inside of Craig meant he couldn't really turn in, or it was understeer, one of the two, so the overlap's there. Sam a lot of curb just to make sure he doesn't hit Craig, but that compromises him, so that means Chris Rock can now have a go. Further forward, Matty Zenko. This one looks like it's on for a move, yet no defence shown by Jake. That's Matty with a run, and that's going to be Matty door to door in the braking zone slightly later on the brakes for Jake. Room given, but there was enough-ish. I don't know, maybe one for the stewards, but it's a little bump and run for Matty as he moves up past Jake Jenkins. Craig Fulton now, he's going to come up to have a go at Jake. Jake's in the middle of the road. Craig to the inside at the last second. He's come from a long way back, nearly into the back of Matty, but does kind of get it stopped. nudges the front end of Jake, pushes him wide. Jake on the power earlier. Here we go then. It's going to be the run down to turn 1. I am aware there's some close gaps. Ant Brown's having a look at Josh Copeland further forward, but these two are in each other's doors. Craig going to try and brake later to get that position back. There he does. Can he get it stopped? No, not a chance. No, he's just driven straight through. The SAR cars are going to be squabbling with each other. Where is Ant? Ant's trying to come the long way round Josh to get the inside line for the next chicane. Josh gets it covered, but he's then outside and doesn't bother defending because he brakes later. First curb, not a chance of the second, so people not really hitting their braking points in this race. And getting through there cleanly. Will Josh hold the position or will he sacrifice it? Meanwhile, Joe Challoner is down the front and he's managed to do the best lap. So we're looking okay. Oh, recovering car hits the back of Josh. He's taken him out. That's Niels Brewer with a, I don't know if it was a rejoin or a half spin back onto the circuit, but he's taken Josh off. Ant is through. So that is Ant Brown up to 3rd place. From the back within a couple of laps. Niels is a 32nd. Yeah. Oh, he's just got the grass on the way off. Spun to... It's an unfortunate... He'd have to look at throttle traces, and that's a job for the stewards, not a commentator. So his eagerness to get back on circuit has unfortunately taken Josh from a healthy 4th down to what is now showing on my timetable as a 9th place. Take a breath, we've only done 2 laps. This is what Joe was doing. Sorry, it's a 30-second replay. There he is. There's Joe. So, Joe's last lap was a 54.4. Kyle's last lap in 2nd place was a 54.4. And then you've got Ant Brown coming through all of that, whatever that was that we've just watched, doing a 156.7. So the top 2 able to break away. Now it's head down as we see Ross not doing the chicane. There you go. Take your time through the slalom. He's done that properly. No lasting advantage. No advantage. Actually, might be. Maybe. He'll be alright. He did the slalom. He's played the game. The gap was 2.7 back. It is now 2 back, so no. No lasting advantage for Ross on that little excursion. Ant's now got to go chasing after Kyle. Niels also needs to just settle down after that off track, but his tyres should be clean by now. There he is. So he should be doing okay. It will now be his chance to go back. Come on, Sam in the chat from Sparky. Yeah, Sam down in 7th after that lap 1 issue. Let's have a little look. His last lap was a 56.6, which is faster than some of those ahead, but not as quick as Matty, currently in 6th, who was 0.8 of a second faster than Sam on that lap. But we're only 3 laps in. The guys all over the place at the start. It's been quite a frantic race, but the top 2 able to break away so far. So Joe down across the line, lap 4 completed. And we are nearly 8 minutes into this race. There we have Kyle, who showed his strong pace in race 1. On that lap he was 0.2 faster than Joe, so the gap come down slightly, but they can trade 0.2s here and there. That's 2.3 that needs to come down. As we just said, the top 2 with a bit of breathing spray, bit of breathing space over 3rd. Ant Brown coming back from 11th on the grid, having disconnected in the last race. Hopefully a little more stable this time round, completing the race and hopefully getting a podium. Niels, after some earlier issues, now seemingly settling down. He was a 55.5 on the last lap, so a little off the pace of the guys ahead. And there's also some really quick guys behind. Matty Zenko in the 54s doing his personal best last lap. He is now closing down and probably is the closest gap to Ross Parker. Neither of them there electing to hit that apex, but enough speed carried as we head down this straight and comparable for the two of them. Let's see as we come down to the next sector. We were 0.463 apart. We are now 0.295. So the gap coming down, but also Sam Baldridge there. As soon as Matty backs off, Sam will be, well, nipping at his heels, trying to get back through. The three of them, Constantine are up. Sam very deep on the brakes there. Huge chunk of time taken out there. Managed to get it stopped, turn, and now back on the throttle, giving him a run. So you wouldn't want to do that lap after lap. You're well into the ABS. But that is how you bring the deficit down. Those cars only half a second apart between them. The inside covered by Ross. He does brake fairly early. Change of line under braking, so he covers off Sam. Matty slightly deep. The cutback for Ross. The cutback not available because Matty's parked it on the apex. That makes him vulnerable to Sam, but he's had to check up as well. So all three of them, Constantine, are up. One place down for Ross. Matty's got it done. Can Ross come back at him, or is it now Sam attacking? The flash of the lights may be the answer. Ross passes it on. Chinese whispers. Sam looks to the inside. Ross is a little later on the brake. It's a last minute move. Matty's turned in. But Ross has come from a long way back. Matty jumps the curb, keeps the throttle in. A little bit of an advantage gained there. One for the stewards to watch out for later. Ross then left defending from Sam. Let's click to Ross. Matty with a bit of breathing room. Ross did come from a long way back though, and it was a bit of a dive, but the door was open, so Matty would have had to turn back out of that. Tom Daly might have been proud of that one. Ross half covers, later on the brake. Sam really harassing him now. Good chunk of curb there from Ross, but not into the sausages, so keeps it nice and level. Good bit of curb there, little bit of a dip on the gravel, but the run out the corner is there as Sam disappears out the bottom of his screen. All three living to fight another day, just that fight might come sooner than you think. Sam, demon on the brakes, gets it onto that apex and just hooks it all the way around the turn. Really nice to see there, sets him up well for the straight. Let's go on board with Sam. So chasing after Ross, here we go. The comment was, come on Sam. Well, he's definitely listening to you, Sparky, because here he goes. Later in the straight, the slipstream really coming into effect. Later on the brakes, closes up to Ross. Can we hit this apex? Yeah, nice big chunk of it. There we go, not upset by the sausage on the left. Good drive out, but you can see the gap to Ross comes down as we move out of the corner. Kyle has done the fastest lap of the race. He's been 0.2 faster than Joe, so that gap at the front coming down with 2.5 seconds now. Inside covered by Ross. We hit our apex. On board with Sam. Good drive out the turn there, so he set that up from a long way back, compromised Ross in intentionally. There we go, not quite hitting the apex, so we've got Ross on the outside. You saw a glimpse of him in the mirror there. No need to defend just here, and that is the move done on Ross. Oh, Ross a little ragged as we jump on board. So Sam is through, opposite position. There we go, Sparky. So Sam now running in 6th, and he's got the opportunity to go now after Matty, who's had a bit of breathing space, 2.1 to be exact. Ross able to come back at him, just a little choppy on the steering, although Sam has taken a chunk of curb in front, so the driver's pushing the limits now. There's Craig Fulton, not too far back. Can he go after Ross? Where is he? There, oh, you heard him. He was there. So Joe ticks the timer over to start lap 7. 16.5 minutes left on the timer. Kyle 2.7 apart. Kyle was half a second off of Joe's time because Joe's just done the fastest lap of the race, taking it to a 54 dead. Can Kyle respond, come back at him? Well, you'll find out in the next 16 minutes. Where's Ant Brown? He's just chilling, doing Ant Brown things. Back of the grid to third, hoping for a podium. Niels Brewer was 0.3 slower on the last lap, so Niels on your screen now, not able to come back at Ant at this stage. It's then Matty, who we've just seen going into the distance, but a recovering Sam is soon going to be on to Matty. Actually, Matty's showing us 0.9 down on his delta, so I don't know if he's had a scruffy first chicane. Should we have a little 30 seconds? Let's see what happened. Just imagine that you've got a replay overlay going on there. Curb 1, lots of curb, basically crawling over the curb. So the 0.9 that Matty has lost was due to the rock climbing experience he carried out through turn 1 and 2. But nevertheless, at the moment he appears to be holding on to that position. We'll just wait for the replay to end. It was only a 30-second one, so we should be there shortly. There we go. And we see Sam just letting Matty know he's there, closing in on the back of Mr. Zenko. Sam having pulled away from Ross, closing the gap down to 0.6 to Matty. Just keeping an eye on the deltas. Craig's improving well, so he's following up behind Ross. Ross is also green on the delta. You've got Josh Copeland has left. Jake Jenkins has left as well. He left on lap 2. Josh left on the last lap. So that's Harrison at the back of the field, having started from the pit lane, however, is now in the top 10 because of the demise of the Copeland and Jenkins. So 10 cars remaining. Again, it looks like Sam Waldridge is the man on the move. The gap down to half a second now. Looking back at Sam. Evening, Matt. Who won race 1? That was Sam, I believe. Let me just check. Not that it doesn't mean anything to me, but it was a long time ago. Yeah, Sam Waldridge won from Kyle Wright and Matty Zenko. Right then, so Sam dropped back slightly. Where did Josh go? Josh went round a corner, but Niels Brewer came back onto the track and ended up in his door. So it was a little bit of a rushed rejoin, but maybe one for the stewards. Yeah, shame it's such a small grid. It is, yeah, but the timings for yourself and a few others didn't work. Brought earlier, and well, it's been a nice weekend, hasn't it? Sun's been out. Everyone making the most of the weather. There's Joe's rear wing. So Joe's doing well. Had a bit of misfortune in race 1, but he's doing really well in race 2. Just keeping his head down, banging in decent lap times. And just seeming to have the measure of Kyle at the moment. Kyle showed awesome pace earlier on in race 1, and then his tyres appeared to go off somewhat because he was rather sideways a lot of the time. Ant Brown started this race at the back. He was starting from what would have been 11th because Harrison started from the pits. He came through some early on contact between some of the SAR cars and worked his way up to 3rd. The Niels Brewer incident where he's rejoined the track and came into contact with Josh has then promoted Ant up. But Niels is now recovering and running strong, doing 55.2s, and everyone else is in high 54s, low 54s on the last lap for Matty Zenko. Really, really good lap, so that's why we saw that gap coming up to Sam. So responding to the attack from Sam now. Sam's pace just low 55s on that last one, but he's already greened on his delta, and his delta's a 54.3. So yeah, the guys of the cars are getting lighter as we come into this last 10 minutes, looking good, but no real close gaps at the moment like we saw in race 1. Race 1 we were constantly looking at cars 0 point sunning apart. Everyone seemingly finding their pace. Got the measure of the cars at the moment. Sam just out of position because of the start. Sam did start higher up. There's Ross dropping down. Not Ross. Matty. Why have you dropped down, Matty? 1.8 off. Sorry, I've just missed that. So as Matty came down to the chicane, he's come in. He's had a nibbler one. He's in the gutter of 2, and the gutter has over-rotated him. He's done a nice slide, nice little power slide, and that's why we saw him off the pace, having a downshift there. So that's Sam and his consistency in this pace in the race, through and up into 5th place. We'll just let the replay end. Here we go then. Can Matty, with his decent pace, come back at Sam now, or is that Sam done and dusted up into 5th? You've also got Ross Parker and Craig Fulton looking like they're going to be coming together. Not literally coming together as in a crash, but having a battle relatively soon. That's some gravel for Sam. No, wide for Sam, and Niels Brewer was in the gravel. Niels Brewer was the slow car there. So Sam sacrificed the place, and Matty comes back through, having not found his braking point for that turn. So this might be a case of the tyres wearing down. This might be a case of just the dynamic of the car changing as it gets lighter. Track has got slightly the same, not moved at all. The track is a constant at this point. Right then, the gap through here now. 1 second, Sam Aldridge has to cover against Matty. Little twitch there, grabs the gutter but manages to get himself out of it. And it looks like the Craig Fulton battle might come as his wheel pops through his wheel arch. But don't worry about that, it's fine. Final turn for Craig. Let's see how he does. So he was half a second away from Ross. 0.9, so not quite as quick for Craig down that straight. Maybe slightly quicker through some of the chicanes rather than straight line. Could be down to downforce, could be just down to driving. Let's see what happens. Still the closest cars on the track, just Sam Aldridge and Matty Zingo a second apart at the line the last time of asking. 8 minutes remaining. See how many more laps we can get done. See if Joe can continue to sit in the 54s. We've got Ant Brown going quick, but potentially not quick enough to catch Kyle. Although he was 1.5 faster than Kyle on the last lap, so there's definitely enough time for Ant to have a go at getting that second place off of Kyle. And we did see Kyle rather sideways on the later stages, but that's, it's one thing catching someone, it's another thing passing someone else. Great commentary again, guys. Always a good watch. Well, thank you, Sparky. Doing my best. Well, there's a bit of sideways for you. Craig putting on a show. That's not how you're going to go chasing after Ross, but that was rather dramatic, and I'm not quite sure how he caught that. There's Sam Aldridge. He's on some tarmac, but it's not the track. So Sam just running a little deep on the brakes there. Not going to help his attempts to catch back up to Matty. However, Matty's now got his eyes on a different SAR car. He's after Niels Brewer as we head down into turn 1. The gap for Ant Brown down the front comes down again. So that's 1.4 with 6.5 minutes left. Good drive out the turn. He's going to be very conscious that he is catching Niels. Niels on that last lap did a 56.9, so compromised somewhat. Matty was then a 55.2. and then Sam was a 55.8. So running wide in the last term, not turn Last turn for Sam wasn't too much of a compromise. He did manage to almost slingshot back at the straight, so that's really good. Meanwhile, further forwards, here is Kyle, and there is Ant. It's a drive-through come up for Chris Rock also. So Chris has run a few too many off-tracks. That's going to potentially promote Harrison up, as long as he's still running all right. He's about 10 seconds off the back of Chris. But a drive-through is way longer than 10 seconds, so that looks like that'll be Harrison promoted up to 9th, just behind his father in 8th. Little sideways from Kyle there. That's where we saw him making those little wiggles earlier on. The gap comes down to under 0.9 now. On the grass for Kyle, so either making some setup changes on things like brake bias or things that they can change live, or watching Ant in the mirrors. That'll be dirty tyres for this turn, and it will definitely be a decent run for Ant. So that gap comes down to 0.7. Craig Fulton catching up the back of Ross. Slightly wider line than Ross, but they'll both carry a similar amount of speed. Further forward, here you go. Sam then attacking Niels Brewer. So Matty's got past Niels. Let's see if this becomes a move. Nope, bails to the grass. We'll see what he does in a minute. There you go, backs out, concedes that place. So some good moves for Sam, but not quite where he wanted them. Let's go back. That wasn't enough. Should have gone further. So we've gone back 30 seconds. So the place for Matty already come through against Niels. Sorry, I've missed that one. Not sure which battle you were referring to, Matt. But Joe's down the front. Kyle, this is during the replay. So Kyle and Ant are now close. They are that close. 3 minutes 40 left on the clock, so we've got some more laps to go. Ant quicker through that first apex, but not really anywhere he can go with it. The drive-through has changed to a stop-and-go 30 for Chris Rock, so things go from bad to worse. Down in 10th, Harrison up in 9th. Here's the run from Ant. One way, then the other. Gets it down the inside. Does he get it stopped? Well enough. Where's Kyle? He's going to come back at him. Oh, a little twitch of oversteer compromises the cutback, but he is going to have the run down to turn 1, so let's watch off board. Should we go and watch Craig Fulton 0.2 off the back of Ross? Nah, let's watch this. So Kyle to the inside. Ant chooses to not defend. Kyle to the inside, gets it stopped, hits the apex. Long way around for Ant. And they managed to do what Verstappen and Hamilton didn't, and they don't end up on top of each other. Oh, a squeeze through the right-hander for Ant. A little bit of grass for Kyle. We saw it in race 1, and it was the demise of Challoner. That's where Joe ended up in the wall, and with the damage that took him down to 5th from what was the lead of the race. No need to defend this time from Ant, so that's Kyle down to 3rd. Oh, Ant's gone deep, concedes the place. Right, you thought it was all over. It isn't yet. We've got 2 minutes left on the clock. We've got 2 more laps to do, and these two aren't done yet. Kyle on the curb, a little unsettled. Ant probably not that much more settled. Big chunks of curve for both of them on the apex and the exit of that turn. Meanwhile, Craig Fulton is 0.08 off the back of Ross, but I don't dare look away from him a minute. Slipstream's going to bring Ant into contention for this corner, but I don't think it's going to be the move. They both brake simultaneously. They sit about level on the power, nice and early for Ant. Closes the gap, has to back out. Kyle with that chunk of curve you saw him doing earlier on in the race and last race. Disqualified Chris Rock is in the pits. I don't think this will be a move for Ant. He's a little way back. Craig Fulton behind Ross is what we were seeing before, so those close gaps didn't convert. Joe Challoner heads his way on to the last lap of the race. So this is it. Kyle leads starting, or leads Ant starting the last lap of the race. Ant to the inside, shows his nose. So it's what Kyle did to him previous lap. So can Kyle go the long way around as Ant did? Ant slightly later on the brakes. He's actually got the move done earlier. Does he get it stopped? Yes, he does. Slightly tight on the rotation for the second part of the chicane, but a little way out onto the curb. So comparable exits for both of them. Can Kyle chase Ant down on this last lap? Let's jump on board. Sam Waldridge looking at Niels Brewer further down, 0.9 apart. Craig Fulton onto the back of Parker, 0.3 apart. Deep for Ant, so he's compromised. Can he park it on the exit? Oh, he's had to jump the curb to get down the inside. This is a move back down the inside for Kyle, so Ant unfortunately a little bit deep. The inside line for Kyle then opens up. Where's Ant? Little twitch of oversteer. Can Ant come back at him in the next slipstream zone? They both take a nice chunk of curb. Bit more exit curb, but a good exit for Kyle where he needed it. Now, how's the setup for Ant? Is it slipstream or is it a bit of drag? He's got a good run. That's the inside covered for Kyle. He comes back across towards Ant. He says, no, you're not going around the outside here. Turns in. Both making the first apex on the power early for Ant, but nowhere he can go because he's got a face full of Kyle's exhaust pipes. Good run out. He's got some cut tracks to use up. Right, he's got in the run. It's going to be the outside line for Ant. Meanwhile, Joe's down the front. Don't worry about him. He's got it done and dusted in this race without messing around. Into the final turn. Kyle on the inside will try and take a wider angle in. Long way round for Ant. Kyle keeps his nose on the inside. Ant will be on the power. He's sliding though. It's going to have to be the cutback, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So Kyle holds on after a good battle. These two are going to be really close across the line. There it is, 0.101 apart. Take a breath. There's your top three sorted. Let's just wait for Matty to round out fourth position. A little way back, but all the same, a good battle. Here's your SAR cars. Sam not making it past Niels in the end there. Ross Parker in the slip and grip car. Going to be here for 7th place. Craig Fulton, who had closed him down, drops back slightly, and then having started from the pit lane, the ghost of Harrison, there he is. There's Harrison Fulton, who did start from the pit lane, so no one to get any scraps with, but some good seat time. A little bit of understeer on the way in, but he's made it to the end. We started with 12, we've ended with 10. 1 disqualification. Sorry Chris, not sure what happened there. There we go. There is your 9-car grid finished. Decent racing by everyone there. Some really good battles. Some elbows out in the first one. I think the stewards might have a couple to look at, but that was really, really good to watch. Good fun to commentate on. Nice, heated battles throughout. Little plug there for Fulton Motorsport. There you go. The cars return to the pits, and we're done. It's 8:15. You got 15 minutes for your Formula 1 build-up. Thank you for those that joined me and didn't watch the Formula 1 build-up instead. And yeah, join us on Wednesday for the final of the Clio Cup. I think Matty J's already won it, but I'm going to try and hold on to second place where I can. I think Paul Hayho can still steal that from me, so I'll try and hold on. Try and round out the season. Brands Hatch Indy, so going to be some nice close racing. Should be a good good way to round out the series. And then yeah, as I said earlier on, we're back in Ginettas, so if you want to get involved in that, please do. Right then, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to end the stream there because I'm going to go and get a drink and yeah, watch the Formula 1. Thanks for joining us. Come and see me again next week, or yeah, Andy on Wednesday. Wow, look, it's raining. Yeah, let's go again. Good stuff. Please don't read the comments on that track. Chris Rock doesn't mean it. Cheers, guys. Bye.